In this video we're going to look at the best gaming monitors under $200. When it comes to monitors in this particular price range, we're looking at 24-inch 144Hz Full HD displays, but even 1440p low latency monitors is also an option here. 144Hz displays will work excellent for competitive shooters such as Fortnite, CSGO, Overwatch, but if you're interested in something a bit bigger like a 32-inch IPS display, for example, for upcoming games such as World of Warcraft Classic, Cyberpunk 2077, or any other adventure game or action game for that matter, where high details and image fidelity is typically more important than 144Hz. First and foremost, yeah, we're going to look at a monitor that will work fantastic for that as well. All of that coming up in this video. Let's get into it. Hey, what's up guys, it's Robin here, hope you're doing fine. A question before we dive into it: can you see the difference between 60 and 144Hz? Let me know in the comments below. I definitely do, but I do have a couple of friends that don't see the difference here. Anyway, something to point out before we look at the first monitor is that the amount of monitors being sold right now is extremely big, guys. One of the reasons why there are so many monitors to choose from is simply due to the fact that so many of them are in fact quite old. Just by searching around for a couple of hours, I found lots of monitors that was made back in 2015. These monitors are still being sold today. Guys, you don't want to buy a 2050 monitor in 2019. Obviously, in this video we're going to skip these and specifically focus on the latest and greatest. For around $200, you're typically getting a full HD display 1920 by 1080 with rapid fast 144Hz, low latency, often but not always TM panels. There are also a few VA panels available here as well. Apart from resolution and refresh rate, everything else with these monitors are often not the best, like colors, for example, color quality. We do, however, got a few interesting monitors that will typically look a lot better than other monitors for this particular price. I'm going to give you 3 alternatives for different types of gaming scenarios if you like, and this is as good as it gets for under $200. By the end of this video I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons in regard to panel types, but I'll leave that for last. For now, let's focus on the monitors. So first up, we got this AOC Q3279VWFD8, and this is a brilliant choice that ticks all the boxes. It's a 23.6-inch curved VA panel, 144Hz with 1 millisecond response time with something called MPTR, which stands for Moving Pictures Response Time, and this represents how long a pixel is continuously visible for. It's a fairly complex matter and it's beyond the scope of this video, but generally speaking, numbers like these guys should be taken with a good dose of salt. But I have investigated a lot of times, looked at several reviews. It is fast enough for gaming and it will not become watched out or blurry even at higher refresh rate spans, though it should be said that a bit of time and investment might be needed to get everything look perfect. Now, generally speaking, when it comes to 144Hz gaming monitors, the vast majority uses TM panels, usually using the same panel which is itself several years old. A small number of models instead opt for a VA panel. Now, these typically offers enhancements to contrast and color reproduction. The AOC Q3279VWFD8 is one such model, and what makes this monitor a bit special is that it's curved in so-called 1500R style. Generally, you want to go with a monitor that supports 144Hz through DisplayPort and simply avoid DVI, DL or dual layer. The DVI connector is starting to disappear on graphics cards. My RTX 2060 or the 1660 Ti, for example, these two graphics cards, for example, are both lacking DVI, and so this monitor supports 144Hz through DisplayPort, which is great. Now, if $200 give or take is your budget, this is what you want to pick up. Furthermore, this monitor supports something called adaptive V-Sync. Both FreeSync from AMD will work, but it will also work fairly well with Nvidia cards, though there is no G-Sync module on this display, but it is G-Sync compatible, meaning that you can activate adaptive V-Sync on Nvidia cards with pretty good results. Now, if you want to learn more about Nvidia G-Sync compatible and what it means, I'll leave a link to that down below. Now, for those who prefer a mixture of strong image quality and decent responsiveness, the AOC Q3279VWFD8 is a very attractive alternative. Again, $199 for this. For more information, have a look down below. Alright, so let's say you're not a fan of curved displays and you simply just want the fastest monitor possible possible with minimal blur. The Elite X240R from Viewsonic can be a brilliant choice. It offers solid 144Hz in 1920 by 1080 through again DisplayPort. Now unlike the AOC, this is a TN panel, so colors as well as viewing angles will be slightly worse on this one, but most of this can actually be fixed from doing a so-called calibration, and this is something that you can achieve pretty easily by just googling what settings other people went with and simply plug those numbers in. It has an excellent 144Hz refresh rate and it supports AMD FreeSync, which will ensure a smooth, tear-free gaming experience, but this also works for Nvidia cards. Again, more information, have a look down below. This monitor has an outstanding response time, and so fast-moving objects will look great with minimal blur. This monitor also has a good stand and good ergonomics, and so it can easily be adjusted for a more comfortable viewing position. Again, for more information, down below. Finally, yeah, we got this. This is a 32.5-inch 1440p or WQ HD display, so keep in mind, this is a pretty big display, and so you definitely need a bit of space for this, guys. Now what's so cool with this one, unlike the others, is that this is an IPS display, and so you're getting great viewing angles as well as colors, and it's also a step up in resolution. It's 1440p, also referred to 2560 by 1440 with a 75 refresh rate span, so trying to run your games in 1440p is definitely going to be much more challenging for your graphics card, but in cases your graphics card is struggling and are keeping up with the frame rate, you can actually turn down the resolution to 1080p with 60Hz also, and although this isn't the native resolution for this monitor, it scales in 1080p pretty good with very little scaling and blurry lines, though you wanna make sure before you do that you're not having any scaling activated in your graphics driver software when you're doing this, otherwise everything will look kinda blurry. So this monitor is most aimed towards you that typically don't play fast-paced competitive shooters first and foremost, but maybe are more into, let's say, games such as Witcher 3 or let's say World of Warcraft, or RTS games such as Age of Empires for example, or even console gaming, so Xbox One X and PS4 gaming will work excellent for this monitor, where 60 FPS target is the typical here, and where 200 FPS per second isn't that important, or isn't as important I should say. Think graphically intense games where colors and contrast is a higher priority, and graphically intense games typically has a harder time averaging more than 60 frames per second anyway, and this is where a monitor like this can really shine. Keep in mind, this is a 75Hz display, but it's an IPS panel that will give you a lot better and immersed experience than a fast 144 monitor at this price range. Now keep in mind, you can of course use it in competitive shooters as well, but you won't be able to go higher than 75Hz. Bottom line, if you're looking for a monitor that delivers an immersed experience, vibrant colors, and a refined 70Hz experience at a very impressively low price, you can find the link down below. With that all said, guys, I promise to give you a few extra tips to have in mind when picking up a gaming monitor. So now worth mentioning first and foremost is that if you once played on a 144Hz display, it can be a challenge to go back to 60Hz. That is my and many of my friends understanding at least, so you wanna have that in mind. Generally speaking, when it comes to the different panels, there are sort of 3 different panel types to choose from. In the gaming section, we got TN panels, we got IPS, and last we got VA, and here are the biggest differences between them. TN panels are the cheapest panel type. These are known for being very fast, but generally speaking, many TN panels are lacking color reproduction, and they are known for having poor viewing angles. IPS on the other hand are very good when it comes to viewing angles, and very good in reproduction, the color rendering, but they are usually quite expensive if you wanna opt for higher refresh rate. IPS also suffers from something called IPS glow, where at some angles you can see the backlight through the LCD panel at bright fields. Lastly, we got VA panels, and usually these are very good when it comes to black levels. This is where black actually gets black and not gray, and usually colors also look very good on this type of display. We generally got great viewing angles here. The response time is unfortunately on the downside here. Usually VA panels is a bit slower, and this is the downside, but there are always exceptions, of course. Samsung is still pushing quite hard on VA panels, and you can definitely find a couple of really good VA gaming monitors, and that is the basic difference between the panels. Can you notice the difference between 60 and 144 Hz? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to be back with a brand new video in just a few days time. Thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, have an awesome day, right?